I just moved back from America. I've been abroad for almost 10 years. I've been back in Melbourne for 3 months. And I was living in Washington, D.C., which I'm hopefully going to get a chance to talk a little about. But while I was there, I got to work with the World Bank. I got to facilitate the first ever hackathon at the White House, which was pretty amazing. And got to work with big brands like Hilton and Ford and Microsoft and all sorts of things. So I obviously trained as a landscape architect and worked as a journalist, and then moved into technology and digital strategy. And the project I was going to talk to you about today was the Awesome Foundation, which I founded in DC and then handed over. Are we back? We're back. We're back. And founded in DC and then have just joined the board of the Melbourne chapter. So know that everything I'm talking about in respects to the US applies right here. So to kick it off, I will always remember it as the day my baby learned to clap. So I got this email from a stranger. I used to get a bunch of them that were like this. The rest of this email went on to say, what you have done has solidified the transition and change in our neighborhood. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And it was because I was the dean of the Awesome Foundation in DC, which was a micro-philanthropy foundation that I helped to set up the local chapter for. And as I said, I've just joined the Melbourne board. It's been in operation here for a couple of years now. Is anyone familiar with it in the audience? A couple of people? Anyone want a grant? Sure. Yes. Excellent. Okay, so basically the Awesome Foundation was set up by a guy called Tim Huang in Boston in 2009 as a way to disrupt and change the traditional methods of philanthropy and donation. And so it was created for a group of young people to come together and basically see the impact of where their money is going to and fund the things that they really wanted to see happen. And so what I did when I moved to DC was bring together 10 super awesome people from all spectrums of the various industries in the city. So we had people from government, technology, the arts, all sorts of stuff, social justice. And each one of them committed to spend $100 cash of their own money every month. What we did was take that money and pool it together into a $1,000 grant. And then every month we would take that $1,000 cash, we would put it into a brown paper bag, and we would hand it over to a deserving member of the community with an awesome idea. And what that was basically a pretty low risk investment on our part. We were giving $100 for most of us working, not a sizable impact into our own personal funds, but enough for us to feel it. And we could give this as a collective grant, $1,000 to someone that was creative and interesting and had a great idea, actually made quite a difference to them. And so we would open it up to everyone in the community, anyone that had an awesome idea that showed some kind of community impact that was appropriately scaled so that they would use that $1,000 to do something super awesome, and then had this special kind of undefinable, ambiguous, amazing awesomeness that we just wanted to see happen. So we would give them that cash, no strings attached, to go out and do something great with it. So as an example, the Indiana Jones and the Alley of Doom project, personal favorite of mine, they used the money to buy that giant Zorb you can see in the background there. We set it up in an alley in DC. You could don the hat of Indy, put on a leather jacket, there was an idol, you would grab it and then run, and you would be chased by a giant boulder. What's not to love? This was picked up by national radio stations. It was incredible. In Melbourne, you might know the Rooftop Honey Project that established honey hives, what are they, hives on the roofs of a bunch of buildings in town, and you can now buy the honey that's being produced. Petworth Jazz Festival, which is the project that prompted that email, took over a known spot for drug trafficking with a local jazz festival on Saturday nights. The middle one here, new favorite from Boston, the Meat Pinata, working with the New England Zoo to create, can you go back a slide for me? To create pinatas, zebra-shaped pinatas of meat for the big cats at the New England Zoo to chase and hunt and smash open and devour. And then another one that I love from London, which is the Big Dipper project, that recreates constellations in the night sky that have been destroyed by light pollution. And so there's a guy there that is taking LEDs and helium balloons and wiring them together into constellations and then letting them fly so that people can see constellations, which is beautiful. So since 2009, we have made, and I'm sure this number has increased since I put this slide together, $731,000 in grants. The foundation has spread to 85 chapters in 18 countries around the world. There's one in Melbourne, I think there's one in Sydney, but anyone can set up these chapters. You just need 10 likely misfits that will come together and commit to spending this money. And so I guess what I wanted to finish on is all of the projects that you'll see if you go to awesomefoundation.org are created by people like you, by people like them out there. They're just people with wild, crazy ideas that want to see something great happen. And they've been funded by people like me, by people like you, by people like them out there. This is all about coming together ourselves and co-creating as much awesomeness as possible. Thank you.